So we're gonna call the meeting to order here at 5 p.m. First thing on the agenda is to approve and sign the minutes from the September 7th meeting.
I move we approve the minutes of the meeting.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those, are you guys, you opposed or you guys?
I said aye.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Next we got approve and sign the non-public meeting minutes from September 7th.
Make a motion to accept them as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, approve and sign the minutes from September 17th.
I make that motion.
No, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And lastly, we have to approve and sign non-public meeting minutes from September 17th.
I'll make that motion to accept them as presented.
And I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next on the agenda, welcome to Nick and Corey, sorry, and Jason from EJP. And they're here to give us a quick update on the water loss evaluation.
And it's not just that, it's also mapping everything in town.
Correct.
The water loss is just one small part of what they're doing.
Correct.
So,
Great.
Yeah, so far we have been going through town trying to locate and do some listening on fire hydrants and curb stops. To date, we have, for fire hydrants located and listened on, we have 116 completed out of an estimated 120 to 125. For curb stops, we have 463 completed, with estimated about 1,000. So a little over halfway through of the project, still trying to locate and uncover the ones that we can't find. Part of the evaluation as well is reading the water meters and trying to interpret that data. We have completed the first water meter reads last week. So that's gonna be our baseline data set. The following month, so here in the next couple weeks, we'll be reading again, and that's gonna be our true monthly read, so we can compare to the pump stations down at the plant, so we can get a true knowing of where we're at. So still trying to get the initial data set complete, but we're making some really good progress.
And the mapping you've done, I guess, is incredible, talking to Judy here.
Yeah, yep, so like I said, we have about 463 curb stops mapped. I have all the meters already mapped. Essentially, if your meter's in your house, we just place it on top of your house on the map and then draw a service line from the curb stop to the meter. So that way, as we discover materials, we can start inputting that in material size and any type of notes. So the initial collection is the hardest part, and then keeping it updated as we go. But we're moving at a very good pace right now. Yep.
It's amazing. I wish we had a projector like Nick could have projected, because it's pretty cool.
Yep.
And I think it's a struggle too, because a lot of the records are just kept on index cards and the mapping wasn't very
Correct.
good.
So we have scanned majority of the tie cards.
That's what they are.
Trying to interpret them is a little challenging on specific ones. With the help of Mike, what we're doing is, if we can't locate it with our metal locator, I will mark on the map the houses we can't find in the specific area we've searched in, and then Mike can help interpret the tie cards and help us locate as well. So that has been going very smoothly at this point. So. And then another thing that we're doing as well is taking the paper maps, such as builts and anything like that, and I can actually overlay them on top of the GIS as well. So that way, as we look at the map, we get a visual representation of how the paper maps are drawn in as well. So hopefully, in turn, we can locate some valves that have been potentially buried over So that's another step that's probably gonna take effect in the next couple of weeks for us to progress and locate more.
Great. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Kim, do you have any other questions for
No.
Nick and the
No.
team? Very good. Thank you very much for your
Yep.
time this morning.
Yes.
Can we ask questions of them while they're here?
Yes,
Um,
you may.
At the last planning board meeting, Scott, you said that, you announced to us that there's no metering at the well pump station. He just said that they're gonna compare what they read to what's at there. So is there, or is there not metering at the
This
pump
is a
station?
interpretation.
Yes, exactly. So what they're doing is they're getting the pump run times and the pressure, calculating the volume going through. So that's the data we have to compare to right now. So that's what we're basing it off at this moment.
Which is what the town's been using all along, because every winter I ask for a pump readout, and I got it by month, which you give me. So there is metering at the pump station.
That's whatever.
That's the way it's metered.
Right. Which,
It's not an actual flow meter.
But it's not actual water being metered.
right, time by whatever the.
Right, and it could be absolutely accurate.
Right.
We don't
Well,
know.
you, at the last, that's what I'm asking, because at the last plan board, you thought you found the leak.
No, I didn't say,
Well-
we may have found the leak, that's what I said, well, I don't know. I just said this could be the leak, the big leak, but we won't know until we actually get this thing done.
Have you found any leaks?
We found a few small leaks, nothing sizable to our knowledge at this point, because we haven't exposed our findings. Right now, we've had 2 or 3 hydrants that have been making noise, and then 1 service as well. So those are being investigated a little bit further. But we still have quite a bit of system left to review. And then once I get all the leak information, I can overlay it on top of the GIS as well. So that way I get a really good representation of the noise evaluation within the town itself. So that way we can deploy further services to then try to isolate it farther. So right now it's still the data collection phase. And then I gotta take a little bit to interpret that data and verify what I'm seeing.
We did find one service that was leaking pretty bad, and
Mhm.
I believe Rex was taking care of that first of this week.
You gonna have to stop during the winter or what? Or when do you?
So we estimate this project,
To-
the initial data collection should be completed before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Yep.
Our hydrants, so also on there, you'll have the hydrants, the year of the hydrants, and they've done an evaluation of our hydrants as well, right?
Yeah, so the hydrants that we've seen out of the 116 are in very good shape for the circumstances and stuff like that, being a small town. Yeah, we haven't found very many issues at all with the hydrants. And the ones that we have been looked at with Mike, so. Yep.
And they run, there's a good chunk of them, what are the age, they're like 19,
We have a lot in the mid to late 80s,
So-
which is fine. As long as they're maintained, greased and everything like that, they'll last much longer than
so I
that.
asked them to check them, and they said they're in good shape and maintained, and then we had some in 2003, you said? you
Yeah,
found?
there's a couple.
2000s.
Yeah,
There's
yep,
some
early
new
2000s. And there's a couple older than that, but the ones that we've been finding issues with, we've been working with Mike to evaluate those further.
So when you get all done, this is gonna be on electronic, all the gate valves will be. Does the town plan on getting technology to use that?
We already have it.
You got it
We've
already?
had it,
Yep.
yeah. We tried to do this once before, probably 10 years ago.
And the person in charge gave them the boot. So,
So we've had this, they're using our existing system that we've had and just had no real data to.
Yep.
And building from it, right, Nick? You're building on that?
No, so we're utilizing that as a reference point.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of stuff in the GIS world that that's outdated, and I would have to do a lot more work to get it to the point of keeping that updated versus restarting. By restarting, still utilizing that as a reference, but it'd still be doing the same exact thing. So it's working well for our
So will we be
situation.
using the same system, same
Correct.
software, or
Yep.
will it be different when we're done?
100% the same.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
So what I was referencing was the data that I had received, the
Oh.
existing
Oh,
GIS
okay.
data. Yep. And everything that we're mapping is at survey grade quality. So roughly 1 to 2 centimeters of accuracy.
I really wish we could have figured, you guys, it was just amazing what he showed me the other day.
When do we get into the real leak detecting?
So that is still going on right now. What we're doing is, with our technology, I have a sensor that gets placed on the service hydrant, whatever we're listening to at that point. What it's doing is it's taking a survey point, so a 10-second sound sample. It's giving me a quality, so that way we know that it's taking a good sample in an intensity value. And that intensity value is kind of an arbitrary number, but the higher the intensity, that's gonna be your potential hotspot, we'll call it. So once we get all that survey information, I get a map of where we've been, creates those hotspots based on the intensity values. Once we get all the information collected, I'm gonna go back to those hotspots, which could be northern part of town, southern part of town, and that's when I'm gonna deploy some correlation equipment, ground mic technology, and things like that to try to isolate potential leaks.
And you also go into all the private developments?
Correct. So we've been through Alpine, Deer Park, and Grandview. Grandview, we've hit the exposed things, but we still have to go back and locate things we couldn't find that were exposed currently.
And if we find something that is a potential big leak, we will notify Mike as soon as possible.
Yep.
So we're not gonna let a leak keep going on and not notify the town.
Yep.
That's what they did Friday.
Yep.
With that service line.
Are you gonna do something this winter with ice castles? Is there?
Yeah, so we're gonna be reading the meters throughout the winter. We could definitely do some leak detection, because I believe that water's off, correct?
It is right now.
Yeah, so we can go back and take a day and correlate that as well as part of this evaluation, since that is currently off. Because we do need to have active water flow to detect leaks.
Great. Any other questions? Very good. Well, thank you, Nick and your team, for all the work you're doing. We appreciate it. Next up on the agenda, we have John MacKay and speaking about the parking at the Ahead Peeling Village at Gordon Pond, and I believe Stuart and Larry are here also.
I met with Stuart and Larry last week, the week before, and they showed me the plans, and I just had concerns about the availability of parking for a fire truck,
Okay.
especially our ladder truck. With the parking they had designed right now, it would be tough for a ladder truck to be able to get even closer to the building. I mean, right now, you'd be going over the length of the car too to get to it. So they said right now that, earlier when they talked to the select board, they talked about doing 2 spaces per unit. And they, working with Stu, he said if they could do 1.5 cars, they could be able to do a fire lane at each building, so we would have that spot. So every time we showed up, hopefully we never do show up, but if we do,
Dedicated to-
it would be dedicated to at least the ladder truck.
Well, you have false alarms there every other week, so. Just from experience.
And this would be for
You'll get a lot of
the
practice.
ambulance and anything else, so,
Changing to 1.5 would allow for a fire lane?
yes.
Okay.
Correct?
Yeah, so we looked at, I believe the original proposal to the select board was 1.5 per unit.
It was one.
It was 1.5, and I kind of had a question about it and went to.
Right, and I think
I think the original one was
At
one.
least 2 per unit.
Yes, it was.
well, we can check what it was originally.
But anyway,
At the select board's
Another number.
direction, we increased it to 2 per one.
Yeah.
Obviously, that puts a significant demand on just the amount of parking on that site. Because equally, we're trying to balance, there are some wetlands on that site, there is some floodplain on that site, so we're trying to balance all of that at the same time. On some quick analysis, it looks as though we can still maintain about 1.7 per unit and still provide dedicated space for emergency vehicles. Doesn't necessarily have to be a fire truck, just fire truck's the biggest one. but that would equally be applicable to an ambulance or a police cruiser if they need to pull in and be off of the kind of right-of-way, but equally not in parking spaces. So that was essentially, I think, what we wanted to consider was whether the select board would consider revisiting that 2-to-1 ratio.
Was your thoughts on the two so that there was room for an emergency vehicle, or was it?
No, to be honest with you, I didn't think about where a fire truck would park. Just that I thought that it was too few spaces. When you have 2 or 3 bedroom units in there, that it'd be more than 1.5 cars go into that unit. And they adjusted it, but yeah, absolutely, we need fire service and protection.
But you think you can keep it at 1.7 story?
I think that's doable. I mean, we haven't chased that all the way through, but it would certainly be north of 1.5. And I did look up the current, and I can leave this with you if you want to, the Institute of Transport Engineers, their current recommendation on low to mid-rise residential units in a suburban location is actually only 1.4 per household. So that's their current published standard.
Sure.
Obviously, municipalities adjust that according to what they feel is appropriate, but that's the published national standard at this time.
Yeah, we'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we change the parking requirement to 1.7
With the fire lane dedications.
with dedicated fire lanes to the buildings.
Should we go 1.5 in case they can't do that, because he's not 100% sure?
Well, as close to 1.7 as possible, how's that?
What, 6.5?
Right.
Or no less than 1.5, he's.
No less than 1.5, between 1.5 and 1.7 parking spots per unit.
With the fire lane dedication.
Dedicated fire lane,
Or emergency services.
emergency service.
Yeah, dedicated emergency
That makes
services.
sense.
You gonna have a turnaround in there?
Won't need to.
Oh, because the way you'll come out?
Yeah, the way it's set up, I'm happy with it, so.
You're happy
You'll
with
be able
that?
to just
Yeah,
kind of.
the first plan I was not happy with, but then.
I just remembered you saying.
Well, that's what Stuart asked you, you should come to us. I said, no, don't come to us.
This one may work.
Okay,
So,
great. Thank you, John, thank you for
Yep,
taking the
thank you.
time to meet with them.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
So we have a motion on the table. We have a second?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor? Very good.
Oh, this
Thank you.
Keeps timing out.
Next on the agenda, we have Mike Donahue is here to discuss some Class 6 roads. If he has any other additional comments on the water study and RSA 672:14.
Yep, the water study, I'm all set, that worked out
Okay.
good. I didn't know at the time they were gonna be here, so I just was curious where you were with it, and how it was coming, and
Appreciate that.
the other question I had was that RSA 6072:14. We had talked about it at the last subdivision, I brought it up, and Scott was gonna send us all I guess you'd spoken to the town attorney, and you were gonna email
did.
us? I never got it. And a couple others I talked to didn't get it.
I sent 3 different emails.
I didn't get any of them.
I was copied on the one, I went to Ben and Margaret.
No, I sent 3 different ones, because
I
I
didn't
went,
get, yeah, I didn't get any of them.
I'm sorry, I definitely thought I sent 3 different emails to planning, and I thought I went to all of them.
I can forward, Mike, I got copied, I can forward it to you.
Yeah, if you can.
No, because we went back and
Well,
forth.
okay, we can wait and we can talk about it at the planning board meeting instead of taking up your time tonight. I just want,
I can go through it quick with you if you want, because
well,
Judy had questions too.
okay.
I can ask
Because
you.
she had your question, 'cause we went back and forth, is it a subdivision? And no, it is not, because it's not a division of land. And then Judy went back specifically and asked the attorney about this project, an apartment, or what's the difference between an apartment and a condominium?
Yeah.
It's not a division of land, is what she said. But you need to see those emails.
Yeah, because I asked her, I said, I think I'm missing why this is different than a
Because
contract.
I knew that was gonna be the,
Yeah, we had talked about it the last one there, and it just,
Is it because it's one, and it's
the
one
majority of
owner
us that talked at the planning board
with
meeting
tenants?
were also under the opinion that we thought it came under that 672:14, and where such a large project, just felt that site plan review would be wise to happen. and it would answer the questions like John just had. And that's why you have a planning board. And I understand the thing with zoning, I get all that. But there's more to it than just parking spots, and not trying to stop. I think it's a great project, and would like to see it be a successful project like Deer Park or any of those, which, you know, a lot of planning went into. And that's what we were concerned about.
I'm not saying it shouldn't have site plan review, but according to the town attorney, she says no, it's not a subdivision. But I'll make sure you get all those, and
Okay,
I'm
we'll
really
talk about it
sorry
next
about
week.
that.
At that.
So that's what she told me when I asked her, was to explain, and she said it was because it's one parcel of land owned by one
Anyway,
person.
Yeah,
let's
No,
send the mic.
I'll read that again.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because I got the RSA, you know, and
Huh.
you can interpret it two different ways, and then it says or building development, and that's what we were leaning
And
on.
when we got
For
that
sale,
from-
rent, you
When
know.
we got that from you, we sent it back to her with the RSA. She says, no, it is not a subdivision, blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah.
but you need to see the
Yeah.
emails,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how I screwed that up.
Yep. Yeah, we can talk about it next week at our meeting, but
Yeah.
the other thing I had was I want to talk to you about Class 6 roads. At the last meeting, you were gonna have compile a list of the roads.
Yes, sir. Sorry, it's taking forever here. So, we have 7. We have Van Allen Road. What's that? Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay. Death Valley Road, Avery Farm Road, Cox Farm Road, Old Fairfield, and Mountainside Road, and we've learned that Potato Hill Road is also considered a Class 6 road.
Okay, I'm more naturally concerned about Potato Hill Road.
Yep.
Do you know at what point you're saying that it's Class 6?
We've learned that the whole road is Class 6.
Okay, well, that's where I get concerned.
Yep.
I've been there 30 years. And since I've been there, the town's always plowed from Route 3 up to Arlene Malevy's house.
Mhm.
She's been there about 30 years. She was there at the same time. And as Gil should remember, 15, 18 years ago, town came in and paved the lowest section from Route 3, about 300 feet in. Town did that. Then, what was it, 6 years ago or so, I came in and wanted to talk to the selectmen, get permission to upgrade the road from the end of the pavement up to Eileen's house, because it was starting to get in pretty bad shape. And I offered to pay for it. Selectmen gave permission, was all said and done, they ended up paying half of the bill, and I ate the other half, which I was willing to eat the whole thing. That wasn't what I was in for. I was in for permission. And you've always plowed it since I've been here, 30 years, to Eileen's house. And under the statute on that, that should make it a town road to her house. You've maintained it for 30 years. You paved it in the first 300 feet.
We thought so too.
We thought so too.
What's that?
We thought so too.
And
But we've been advised differently, but the lawyer still has the folder and she's still researching, like, why was that portion at one point thought to be Class 5 when it was really Class 6,
Well,
where the
because-
confusion lies.
When we purchased the property up there was nothing but a goat path at
Okay.
best.
All right.
Gil, probably the only one that remembers that. It was just a footpath. And I took it from what you know of Eileen's house now, from there and built the road up where it is. The lower section was always town road, it wasn't paved. Then we ran a gravel operation up there, and Gil lived at the bottom of the street. Eventually I came to the town, I said, hey, look, you know, I've been putting calcium chloride on it, maintaining it for 6, 8 years, whatever, maybe you can pave it. And they said, great idea, they paved it. I'm not looking, I don't want the town to come past Eileen's house, I don't want you up there. That ain't what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for you 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I know what I got into when I got there,
Sure.
but I'm concerned to at least her house. Not looking to pave, don't want it paved, I don't want to advertise that there's something up there, because believe me, I get enough headaches as it is. But I think you ought to be, I want to figure out where we are as far as maintaining it from Route 3 to her house.
Well, we're waiting
But,
to
yeah,
hear the
okay,
attorney's office,
because
and then we have to
probably,
go.
We kind of knew where
We have
this
to
was
follow.
going.
yeah,
So we sent that all over to her so she could look at it.
Yep.
Sure.
If you have anything, Mike,
Oh, we
If-
went to court with the town, or, you
can
know,
you
it
give us
started.
that so we can,
Well, it's a folder about this thick that, you know,
and
we
that would-
challenged it years ago before any of you were here.
You did.
Oh, yeah,
Can
do you
we-
have a ruling on it?
opinions from both sides.
That's all?
That's it, it was never
So it's
finalized
probably
in
what's-
court.
No, we all said, you know, after spending how much town money and 50,000 of my own, which I'm willing to go back to if that's what we need to do.
No, I think we wanna figure it
Because I
out.
really,
Right.
I really think the town owns it up to her house. They've maintained it for 30 years.
Right.
Like last year, for some reason, I was asked, when it snowed, if I was out, if I would plow that section right from Route 3. I said, sure, you know, and then they'll come in and clean it up when they got a chance. I got no problem with that. But it's no secret, I'm not out as much as I used to be, and I'm gonna be less, so I'm kinda looking out for the other people.
I think we're just trying to work through it the right way, just because there's so much controversy about Class 6 roads right now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get
Yeah, well, that,
everything put away.
yeah, so in this process, because I looked a little further, and Old Stone Road down there in Thornton, well, Woodstock.
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand how you come with the determination that's a Class 5.
We don't want it to be a
We don't
Class
want it to be,
5,
but it
Right.
is.
but it is.
Yeah, but I
It's
don't
we were
understand.
given to the town from the state.
As a
But at
Class
the
5.
time,
But it was
they
never
thought
made,
that, they thought Thornton
Doesn't
town line was further over.
yeah,
So they thought they gave town of Woodstock, was it 363 feet or something, the very end of it.
We don't want it.
And then when it
No,
got
I-
resurveyed, it was, they realized that town line is on the other side of the road. And they had given that road to
And-
Thornton as Class 5.
we had gone through it, oh, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe? I think you were here, Gil, through the planning board. There was a resident at the end of the street that wanted to put his factory up there.
Right.
You remember that? And we researched it, and when my research came up, it was a Class 6 road. And that made a determination for him not to go there. So
I think the very end of it's Class 6, isn't it, Mike?
No, not on our side.
It isn't. I thought it's
We thought-
transitioned near the very end, Mike,
Yeah.
from what I remember.
No.
And you know, the town really hasn't maintained it for how many years, until just recently.
Right.
Just that in itself would convert it back to a Class 6 road by not maintaining
I don't think
it
there
for
was
5
any,
years.
I don't know if there's any of these automatic conversion things. I think that's
Yeah,
something we
there-
gotta find out from the
There's not, we've had,
attorney.
the lawyers were out there, walked it, and they
Actually,
reviewed,
the
she
attorney
said
went
it's
out.
something to do with the way the state turned this specific road over. There's a clause in there that you can never change the classification, even by a town vote. If you I have the stuff in the file
Yeah,
that
if
she
you could just
gave.
email that to me too, Judy, and
I don't, it's something to do with that and the town line and when it was resurveyed, and we got New Hampshire DOT, and then there was, New Hampshire DOT didn't quite agree with the lawyers, and they got theirs involved.
is it being claimed under the block grant funds?
No. Oh, Class 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
What we've
This
tried
is
to
the
do,
newest one, they
what we
converted
tried
it.
to do, Mike, too, is we upgrade the road and fix it up like we did, but they're gonna plow it and do all that stuff. That was kind of,
Maintain it far as-
Thornton would do that. That was kind of
We
the.
just basically supply the gravel.
So they
for it,
did
don't we?
change it
We don't
after
go
all
up
this,
and
the state
push
changed
around
it
and do
after
that.
what went
Just-
on with the
No,
lawyer.
we graded
Just
again and
recently.
made, created a turnaround so
I don't
Thornton
know
could go in and turn around.
But
and come
it was
back out.
pretty
Hammerhead
recent, I
type
think.
thing.
It's on George Spano's property, we got permission from him to do that.
That's right. No, I remember that.
Where we're working, the George has given the easement right now, it's with the lawyer, to have the cul-de-sac at the end. And it all came out because somebody was building a house out there, and I asked them to sign a Class 6 agreement. And then they presented us with all this, and I had no idea, I thought it was a Class 6 road. And the worst part of it is, this house is taxed in Thornton.
You know,
We don't get any tax dollars from it.
Doesn't that go over where the bedroom is?
Oh, the whole property is in
The whole
there?
house is in Thornton.
The whole,
Right, but if the bedroom is in one town, that's the town that gets the tax money, isn't that true?
Really?
I think your sister has the same
No.
problem down there,
it
Lake.
depends on where my sister, they sleep,
Where she
as to what
sleeps?
school they go to. But her property line's a property line, and her bedroom is in Thornton, so she's taxed in Thornton, but her whole house is in Thornton. her backyard is in Woodstock.
So she
So
slept
she
in the
pays-
The
backyard.
driveway.
Well, say if he's right, if the house sat in 2 different towns and her bedroom was in Woodstock, she could claim her residency, but the house would be taxed as, it's crazy. We don't have any where the house is in one side.
That
But
whole
this
side of the
whole
road, we're all
property
in Thornton.
where they're building, from the driveway down off that road is in Thornton. We have no tax dollars.
What's the situation with Thornton's interested in having it called a class 6 because they maintain it in wintertime for their residents, which
They
those
can't-
houses are their residents.
I don't know.
So
if
that's a
there's
drive for
class-
them to keep requesting it to be fixed, right?
No, it's our section, they're saying we have to do, I don't know if I can see Thornton on here to see, is their whole section class 5 too?
Yes, the whole road's class 5.
Yeah, and then they gotta do those residents that are up there,
Yeah,
so.
the whole road's class 5.
They were plowing to just beyond Lee Freeman's driveway. But now there's a resident on the end of the
Right.
on the end of the road. That's how this all came about. And they said that as long as we put some gravel in and create a turnaround, they will maintain,
They're pretty good about
Wow.
it, actually.
Yeah, since they're,
meeting with the selectmen that day.
right.
Like a fall out of bed and land there from their
Right.
dump shed,
But I
so.
mean, they could have,
Yeah, they could have stuck it to us, but
they could have.
It is pretty
They work
unfair
with
though,
us.
they.
But I think they
just the
agreed
way the
because
state
their
turned it
tax
over.
money,
Right.
their residents are actually in Thornton
Right,
with an
so
access
they
to our
agreed to
town.
plow it, but we had to bring in
The
the
fill.
gravel or whatever.
To make
A
it
little bit of
right.
fill and
Yep,
some gravel.
but we are still looking into potato.
Okay, so in the meantime, 14 days ago on that Friday, we had some heavy rains. There's a small section washed out where it goes from the pavement to the dirt.
Mike brought that to our attention today.
That was about
and
the
we're
time
gonna
I was
check.
told not to touch the road
Right.
because we've
We're gonna
realized.
check with Laura what.
It's not terrible,
Mhm.
but Eileen gets in it, she's gonna have a problem.
Well,
And you were gonna send out letters to everybody that were on Class 6 road, because I had, you know, I'm gonna
They went out
continue to
to-
maintain my road like I always have.
yeah,
And
they
I
went
did.
out today,
Okay,
so you should find a certified letter in the next day or two.
I
Alright.
would say so.
There were a lot of them.
Yes.
And it's not that I don't want to maintain it, because I don't mind maintaining it, but if it's a class 6, we can't put any money into the road anymore.
Right, we don't wanna
I think we need
Unless
to
it's
figure it
don't get the
out.
time.
Convert it back to
either.
class
And I
5
don't-
and then back.
And I don't want to be jerks about it either if we don't
No.
have.
what you're gonna find is, it's, like I said, I do have some, you should have it here too, I would assume, all the information I have, or most of it. You had Keating as your lawyer at the time.
That's what was in that.
We
There was
have that
something to
folder.
do with differences of opinions on whether it was
Yep.
private and whether it was class 6.
Yep.
And then there was opinions of lawyers in
Yeah, and it
there.
came back that it was, you know, what we agreed on was it's Class 6 at her house, subject to barn gates. And that's what we all said at the time, okay, everybody's happy, let's leave it at that.
Was that in a meeting, like a selectmen's meeting
Oh,
way
it went
back?
on, it went on for,
Oh, really?
'Cause I
So we
tried
should be able
to-
to track that down then.
I
Yeah.
found one paper in that file that the town, somebody brought it to the town, to a town meeting, to convert it from class 6
1993.
No, that was
back
when-
to private.
right, we had done that, we had a petition.
That was your, oh, okay.
Put it from Class 6, just do away with it.
Get rid of the road.
Get rid of the
now.
whole thing
Yeah.
together.
Consider it private like
Yeah,
the other one is. Yeah, okay, that's what I found in that.
Well, all you got is an easement through my property. That Class 6 road is just an easement through my property.
Yeah, it goes
On
up
one
to
section.
out back, yeah.
Right, and we had petitioned to, for the voters to eliminate it at the time. It didn't pass at the time, there was, the Conservation Commission was a little bit stronger back then, or a lot stronger back then, and that's what,
well, people are
Yeah.
hiking up where, a lot of people are hiking up.
Yeah,
that point,
used to be.
That's right, yeah,
now there's nothing.
yeah.
And like I said, it's been, probably been 20 years, 25 years, and what was a goat path is nothing now
Right,
in that section.
yeah.
No, well,
So you think around the time that those legal opinions were given, there was selectmen's minutes or something that was going on?
Yeah,
Is there
I'll
something that
pull
would
it out,
reflect that?
I actually
I
just
can try
moved
to
my
go back.
files the other day on the whole thing. There's some extensive files. Your lawyer was Keating's, ours was Philbrook, at the time. And it went back and forth for quite a while.
Well, I'll go back to that year that whenever I get that file back, and try to.
I will get you some dates and stuff to get you going in the right direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some extensive legal work done.
The agreement that you're speaking of, was it done in a selectmen's meeting where it was like officially motioned or voted on? Do you recall? Because we're struggling
Yeah.
finding meeting minutes.
I'll pull up,
that
I got the
reflect it.
whole thing.
Okay.
It was
That'd be great.
25 years ago,
We do want to figure it out,
probably.
so.
I wouldn't be able to.
Absolutely.
And it hadn't been, like I said, there's never been a problem. Then after that, the town paved from Route 3 up about 300 feet.
Right.
And they were gonna go to Eileen's, and I requested them not to, because we don't want it. I mean, I'm not,
Mhm.
that ain't what I'm here looking to
Right.
do.
Yeah. Okay,
I mean,
Yeah, if we could just find something to give
Yeah.
her.
we appreciate it.
We need
Anything
some
that you can help
backup,
us, yeah, we need some,
yeah, I got
some
it.
backup.
Nope,
Great.
that's all I have.
That's all you had?
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Oh, I think
Um,
it's done.
The next thing on the agenda we have is to approve the application for Cascade Park. We have a wedding ceremony for September 24th of 2022
You need to abstain.
for
I know.
Andre and
I know
Faith
this one.
Jardin's boy, Joseph. Do you have a
Yeah, I'll
motion?
make a motion to accept
That
that.
way I know we
Dates
have.
Yep, I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those that abstain?
Aye. Aye.
Very good. All right,
Okay.
next we have public participation. Any questions or comments regarding items discussed this evening? Yes, Bill Waterhouse.
And Gil would probably be able to help me with this one. One of those class 6 roads is out my backyard and go over the hill. And wandering through the national forest, I saw the gate was gone. And I'm wondering, does the town know where Johnson Road ends?
Johnson Road? What do you have on that?
Johnson Road is mountainside.
Oh,
In the old deeds, it pops up as Johnson Road.
I can just tell you what's on here. I don't know if it's right or not, but there you go, Gil.
Put those specs back on. Off of yours?
Does it go past Gill where the the gate was?
Come on up, you're probably better at looking at these than
The
we
gate
are.
on the railroad grade?
Is that Jim, the one that goes to Jimmy's?
Yes.
Oh, I think, is there a Kinsman? That's the one that he kept rerouting or changing on the map because it was wrong, the way it went, and they never changed it.
And off of Sundance, so we.
Well, because I think you gotta have, they won't do
Not
anything to that
Not
without a warrant
Sundance,
article or
Gordon
a,
Farm, Gordon Farm.
Gordon Farm Road?
No,
no, Mountainside, it's up by.
Mountainside,
Oh,
in
Mountainside,
between
right
those
there.
two.
Mountainside, it gets to the railroad grade, and then it just sort of meanders up a little bit to the right and dead ends.
Okay, well, just for future reference, so that it is there, and I don't remember this, okay. In 1914, a memorandum of survey accepts a 3-rod right-of-way for the Johnson Road passing through the National Forest. Because that mountainside property is landlocked. So Johnson Road went up, and then there was the gate there. But this memorandum of survey, they didn't landlock the people up there apparently, and they gave them a 3-rod right-of-way through the National Forest. But then it turns into mountainside. So I'm wondering, was it Johnson House up there, and does that road go all the way up to the house?
It did originally.
So does
No.
that then become the Class 6 road?
Back when somebody was actually living up there, on the farm, the whole thing was cleaned off. On the farm, there was a road that went up through there, that, as I remember, that belonged to the Fattons. After Mountainside kind of trailed off, they used it because they used to house cows and
Oh, to
and
their
whatever up
farm.
on the top of that, up on the top of the mountainside where the, used to be a big farmhouse.
Right.
And I'm trying to, the more I talk, I'm trying to remember the name of the people that lived there. And they'll come to me probably about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Don't call
I'll
us.
sit right up in bed and give you a call, is what I'm gonna do. But my mother used to tell me when she was a little girl, she'd go up and do housekeeping up there. So it was people living in that farm. And the Faddens bought it, and the house slowly deteriorated down to a camp, and the barn was there. And when Norm had his butcher shop down in the store, he used to raise cattle up on the hill, because a couple, 3 times a summer, they'd end up in my grandfather's garden, which would, of course, jump him up in the air. But as far as Johnson Road,
There's a survey from 1995 that shows Johnson Road starting right at Lost River Road and working its way up, but it doesn't take it to a terminus. And I'm mentioning this just for the town in the future, because that's a pretty long road.
so it was Johnson, not Mountainside?
Correct.
That's interesting.
We'll look into it.
Yeah, I'd like to know myself,
Yeah.
actually,
That'd be interesting to get to Weather Road.
just because,
It does
I plow it
go
now, so.
through the national forest.
Might have been a reverter on it.
Oh.
the way it is on the map now, it dead ends in the national forest.
Right.
It doesn't go straight up the hill like that road originally did. It trails off to the right a little bit and then dead ends probably from where the railroad grade is, halfway between there and where the farm used to be up on top of Mountainside. But it kind of trails off and just dead ends in the middle of the sugar orchard, I think. Or what used to be, what is actually national forest now. They went through 3, 4 years ago and redid everything with yeah, I never heard it referred to as Johnson Road, so that's interesting.
We'll look into it.
Yeah, we'll certainly look at it. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Thanks. Any other questions or comments?
May I don't know how to phrase this. May I ask a question tonight, expecting no response, not anticipating a response, rather than getting on the agenda for 2 weeks from now and then having to go a little bit further with it? If I were to ask a question now, would it be possible to have that looked into?
For the Johnson Road?
No, no,
Oh.
no.
You can ask the question and we'll make note of it to go on the agenda for next meeting.
So in this year, I'll go slowly in case you're writing. In this year, the 2020 annual report, the MS 61 on page 28 has the total uncollected taxes for all years at $3,023,570.
Okay.
That seems very high, considering it.
Or is that the valuation of what's,
For DRA use, total uncollected taxes.
We'll find out what the number is.
Yeah, we'll find out what it is.
Yeah.
We'll look into it and have an answer for you next meeting. I don't see the annual report in our library.
It's, you go to the website, it's right there.
But I mean, I think we need
Yep,
to look at
yep.
it anyway and figure out what we're
Yep,
talking about.
what exactly is it referencing? Yep, I wrote it down. Very
Thank you.
good. No, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Very good then. I would, we have is that left over from last week or do we
No.
have? Okay, so we need I need a motion to enter into non-public
Oh,
under RSA 91-A:3, number 2A, and that is regarding personnel.
I'll make a motion to do that.
I'll second.
Very good.
Thanks, everyone.
All those in favor?
We won't be coming back into
No.
public
No,
session.
we will not come back.
Do you
into
shut the
public
doors on the way out?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, you're going. Thank you. Sorry.